In the headlines, President Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to shelve planned nationwide protests. National Assembly passes minimum wage bill in record time. CBN raises interest rate to 26.75% amid soaring inflation. And on the foreign scene, dozens killed in Ethiopia landslides, including rescuers. Good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for joining us, and now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday appealed to Nigerians who plan to stage a nationwide hunger protest to shelve the plan. He also called on citizens to give his administration enough time to respond to their requests. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, revealed this to State House correspondents after closed-door talks with President Tinubu at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. His comments come days after calls for nationwide protests from August 1 to 10 against the rising cost of living and the economic hardship. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress on Monday issued a warning against any attempts to suppress Nigerians' fundamental right to express their views, particularly in the light of the planned nationwide protests. The NLC instead called on the government to engage the protesters constructively rather than resorting to measures that could undermine citizens' rights to voice their grievances. The Labour Union also called on President Bola Tinubu to listen to the cries of Nigerians over hunger and widespread hardship in the country. A section of Nigerians have been mobilized to start nationwide protests on August 1 under the hashtags Tinubu Must Go and Revolution 2024. The presidency, however, described such calls as treasonable, as it also accused the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his supporters of spreading the hashtags. In a lengthy tweet published on his X account on Saturday, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, alleged that the sponsors of the protests were not Democrats, but anarchists. Arewa Consultative Forum, the umbrella body for all socio-cultural groups in northern Nigeria, has dissociated itself from the planned nationwide protest, describing it as ill-planned and lack national interest. This was disclosed by the chairman of the forum, Maman Mike Osuman, while fielding questions from journalists at the Kaduna State Government House on Monday. Trustee Bello Musa has more on the story.
The Kaduna State Governor, Senator Obasani, says despite the multicultural, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious composition of northern Nigeria, the ACF remains a rallying point to solving challenges confronting the region and urge everyone to join hands in tackling challenges facing the region.
Insecurity in the north has retarded developments in the critical sectors. A lot of farmers cannot access their farms. Food insecurity now confronts us directly. Child and maternal mortality are on the rise, particularly here in northern Nigeria. Our infrastructure have decayed. The moves to address our infrastructural deficit are equally threatened by insecurity. From this very disturbing picture, it is clear that northern Nigeria faces existential threats as we are speaking. This is therefore a time for all hands to be on deck to pull the region back from the brink.
The chairman of Arewa Consultative Forum says the purpose of the visit is to promote a deeper conversation around insecurity and food crisis ravaging northern Nigeria, amongst others.
We reached the consensus that the National Publicity Secretary should speak out on behalf of ACF, completely disassociating the ACF, and to tell our people that it is ill-timed, It's not purpose-driven, and it is not in the interest of the North and the country.
Governor Sani assured the region that northern Nigeria will soon overcome the current security and socio-economic challenges. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Also, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on Tuesday warned against any violence under the guise of replicating the protest which shook Kenya, following some policies which aggrieved Kenyans considered anti-masses. Young persons trooped to the parliament and strategic places across Kenya last month. The protest had led to some reforms, including cabinet reshuffle. Reports have been making the rounds that some groups are currently mobilizing for protests under the theme "End Bad Governance." But speaking at the force headquarters in Abuja during a strategic meeting with top police officers from the rank of Commissioners of Police, Assistant Inspector General of Police, and the Deputy Inspector General of Police on Tuesday, Egbetokun advised those planning the protest to jettison the idea, saying the police would not fold their arms watching them engaging in violence. The police boss said the force's decision was based on what happened during the last EndSARS protest nationwide, insisting that the police particularly has not been relieved of the trauma they passed through. Nigerians continue to face untold hardship due to the economic meltdown. Children in internally displaced persons camp in Adamawa State are opting for frogs and lizards as meals for survival. This was confirmed by the leadership of the Damare IDP camp in Yola, while expressing the unfortunate state of the IDPs as the nation grapples with rising food prices. Gibson Soadigo reports.
As dry as their temporary shelters are, so are their throats. This is the Damare Temporary Internal Displaced Persons Camp in Yola, Adamawa State capital, housing 167 households, mostly from Goza in Borno State. The effect of the nation's economic hardship is biting harder here, as families turn to wheat called fatted cassia, known as tafasa in the Hausa language. Lydia Zakaria, mother of four, is from Goza in Borno State. She is among the first settlers at this camp. For the past 2 weeks, her family has been surviving on fatted cassia as a result of a lack of funds and rising food prices.
Wannan miyan da nake cire ma tun safi na fita. Ina nima wannan shine yanzu na samu kadan nake tsina wannan.
This is what I have gotten since I left home early morning. We will boil and eat as usual. Our children are ill and malnourished due to hunger.
Muna kwana nawa wani kaman ni ma mba yone na ya fita mni akai kwance a gida ma na kai sati ma a kwance a gida ban da lafiya tsabarin yunwa.
This is the story of almost all the households in this camp. 56-year-old Jukule Ahmed has been the leader of the camp for 7 years. He narrates their ordeal and how children are hunting frogs and lizards as meals for survival.
Kware da gaske kwanakin bayani da kaina na je na ga yara a bayan camp sun kaka makwado daga dangare abunda a cikin al'adar mu ba mu taba ci ba. To sun kaka ma suna gasawa na je na kira wani nace ku duba abunda yara nace me yasa kuna yin haka wai suna jin yunwa.
Lately, I met our children roasting frogs and lizards to eat due to hunger. I know frogs are poisonous, and eating such animals is uncultured. In this camp, you have those who have hunger-induced sicknesses and are only waiting for what God will do with them. Malnourishment, cells of belongings, and hunger-induced illnesses are the order of the day at this camp. Humanitarian actor Maurice Gueranga called for decisive action against hunger in various IDP camps across the nation.
The IDPs have no means of livelihood. They cannot hire farms to cultivate farms, so they serve as day laborers. They go out in the morning looking for labor to plant or weed in people's farms. And if they are lucky to get something, then they are able to maybe buy gari or something to make porridge for the children.
The camp was established in 2014 at the height of the Boko Haram onslaught in the northeast states of Nigeria. Gibson So Adgo, Trust TV News, Yola.
The Senate and House of Representatives have passed the new minimum wage bill for a third reading. The bill passed first, second, and third readings on Tuesday, all within an hour in the upper and lower legislative chambers. The legislation seeks to raise the country's minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. While leading a debate on the bill, Okwayemi Bamidele, majority leader of the Senate, said 70,000 naira was agreed upon by all the parties after negotiations. Thereafter, the Senate dissolved into the Committee of the Whole to approve clauses of the bill. Last week, President Tinubu asked the National Assembly to increase the 2024 Appropriation Act by 6.2 trillion naira. The president said 3.2 trillion naira is for infrastructure projects and 3 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure. Defending the president's request before the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriations on Monday, Atiku Bagudu, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, said the 3 trillion naira is intended to cover the new national minimum wage. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the monetary policy rate, which benchmarks interest rates, to 26.75% from 26.25%. Olayemi Cardoso, governor of the Apex Bank, announced the rate adjustment on Tuesday at the end of the committee's 296th meeting in Abuja. Last week, Nigeria's inflation rate rose to 34.19% amid the surge in food prices. The MPR is the baseline interest rate in an economy, as every other interest rate used within the economy is built on it. And now to security matters. The Nigerian Army has rescued another Chibok girl from the Sambisa forest during its operations in the enclaves of Boko Haram terrorists. The young lady was presented before journalists in Maiduguri during a press briefing at the Mai Malari cantonment, who was handed over to the Borno state government. According to the theater commander of Operation Hadin Kai, her rescue makes it 19 of the girls rescued by the frontline troops in its counter-insurgency operations in the northeast region. She was rescued along with her 2 children and also 330 women and children who were also handed over to Borno government through the Ministry of Women Affairs.
The theater will continue to do its best to rescue the remaining Chibok girls in captivity in line with the strategic guidance of the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Army Staff. We equally thank the Chief of Army Staff for all the support he has been rendering to the theater, which was instrumental in the conduct of successful operations that has facilitated the rescue of Ms. Ihi Abdul from Sambisa Forest.
I have been married to 8 different men. I separated from some of them while others died. I cannot remember the exact number of years I spent there, but I think it is between 9 or 10. Life there was okay, so I decided not to leave until now. I have not met some of my Chibok colleagues, but some that we interacted with have no intention of leaving.
You're watching the News update coming to you live from Trust TV studios. Still to come. Role of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission in the face of uncontrolled surge in prices of goods. We'll bring you more news when we return.
Welcome to Trust TV, your gateway to the captivating essence of Nigerian history, culture, and society.
And this is where the hydroelectric power dam is supposed to be constructed.
Delve into the depths of Nigeria's past with our insightful documentaries unraveling the intricacies of ancient civilizations and colonial influences that have shaped the nation's identity. Immerse yourself in the vibrant Nigerian traditions and customs as we showcase the diverse cultural landscape.
The early history of human existence can be traced to the heart of northern Nigeria. Here, archaeologists found evidence of a group of people who sculpted clay and developed tools to smelt iron.
From lively festivals to time-honored rituals, Trust TV encapsulates the spirit of Nigeria's dynamic heritage. Experience an authentic portrayal of contemporary Nigerian culture that is both engaging and enriching.
With over 250 ethnicities, over 500 languages, and a youthful population, Nigeria has a truly diverse demographic advantage.
Don't miss out on Trust TV's amazing and impactful storytelling. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying. Let's take another look at some of our top stories. President Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to shelve planned nationwide protests. CBN raises interest rate to 26.75% amid soaring inflation. And to more stories. Residents of Gombe State have raised the alarm over the intentional act of debasing the quality of food by either adding or replacing the food substances with undeclared alternative components or by the removal of some valuable components. As part of efforts to address the menace, the State Police Command has paraded suspects who allegedly adulterated dried okra, even as residents are urging the government to come up with public orientation initiatives to help them identify such foods by themselves. Hassan Koli has more.
With the current inflation and deteriorated economic condition among Nigerians, food adulteration is on increase in markets. Recently, the Gombe State Police Command paraded some people suspected of mixing wood dogs and other substances and distributed to markets as dried okoro, popularly known as busheshir kubewa, which serves as local soup for many households, especially among Hausa Fulani. This development has triggered concern among Gombe residents. The arrest of the said suspect was indeed commendable, and it is an indication that security operatives are doing well in protecting our lives, and fighting such adulteration is a collective responsibility. Public has to be vigilant and cooperating with related authorities to deal with perpetrators. Adulterating dried okoro is condemnable. I wonder if they are really in their senses, because a lot of people will consume such commodities, including pregnant women and children. We are concerned on what we are consuming as food nowadays. It means we and our children are consuming contaminated, if not poisonous substances unknowingly, which is negatively affecting our health status. We are urging authorities to help identify and resolve such acts. We also needed orientation on how to identify adulterated foods ourselves. While people are voicing out their concern, the okro vendors like Muhammad Ayebu are suggesting that although it is hard for marketers to identify adulterated dried okro, but agreed that there is a general clue of differentiating it with the real one. It's indeed worrisome. As a okro seller, I sometimes heard about such adulteration. Some bad element among us used to mix dried okro with wood dust and other substances with the aim of increase its quantity and maximizing their profit. You see, they are just serving their interest without taking into consideration the interests of the customers. According to public health experts, adulterated food products are responsible for mild to severe health impact. Diarrhea, nausea, allergic reactions, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, etc. are frequently observed illnesses upon consumption of adulterated food.
So it ends up in sending the population go with a lot of ailments, a lot of diseases, unexplainable diseases, and not knowing even the source of the disease. Sometimes even it can lead to worse conditions like cancer of the parts of the body. Actually, it can affect the digestive system. It can produce some diseases that will affect organs of the body, particularly to do with probably the kidney.
According to World Health Organization (WHO), estimated 600 million, almost 1 in 10 people in the world, fall ill after eating contaminated food, and 420,000 die every year. The body also estimated that $110 billion is lost each year in productivity and medical expenses resulting from unsafe food in low and middle income countries like Nigeria. From Gombe, Hassan Kohli reporting for Trust TV.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says it is working within the confines of the law and its Establishment Act to ensure that the rights of the Nigerian consumers are protected. The acting executive vice chairman of the commission, Adamu Abdullahi, disclosed this while speaking to Trust TV News against the backdrop of allegations that the commission is yet to address arbitrary price increase and other consumer-based issues amidst the economic downturn in the country. Trust TV's Neil Sampson has more.
The acting executive vice chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, Adamu Abdullahi, highlighted how the commission is protecting Nigerians from the activities of loan sharks, especially in terms of cyberbullying during recovery process as well as overpricing of goods.
We had to work together with both the CBN itself, which has to bring down their bank accounts from banks, as well as both these companies that register that they have their platforms on. Okay. So they now bring them down. So when their apps are brought down, they had no choice but to come to us. When they came to us, that's how we now got to have all that information. So once we got that information, it's now a matter of whenever they do anything wrong, we know who to catch. And we can always punish them. We are not a price regulatory agency. We don't fix prices for commodities and services in this country. We are not. This is due to the fact that this is a deregulated economy. In regulated economies, you don't fix prices because you don't have to agree. You don't know at what rate goods are produced. The only thing that we investigate are issues of price gouging or price fixing. This is when elements come together or companies come together and agree on the price that they are going to charge for a fee or for a service or for a product.
He also spoke about the update on the fine of $220 million posed on Meta for multiple data privacy violations.
We have a report, 116-page report, that says ABCD of how they are violated and says ABCD of how we have arrived at those sanctions. And so the final order has gone out. We have sanctioned them $220 million USD. And yes, they have challenged it. We do believe that they should. They have every right to. And these things normally will end in court and end in settlement out of court. So we have got a task. We are waiting. Let them challenge it. and then we'll go and show them what it is that we have as proof, and let them show us why they feel that they have not done any violation.
Some FCT residents expressed opposing views on whether the commission is fulfilling its mandate or not.
No, because of the hike of prices is not favorable on the masses.
I would say they should do more. They should work harder for the benefit of the people, the consumers.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, is the highest federal competition regulator in Nigeria. Its FCCPC operates within the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment and is responsible for protecting market competition and promoting consumer protection. Well, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now to developments away from Nigeria. Rescue teams have so far retrieved the bodies of 157 people killed in 2 landslides in southern Ethiopia, a local official has said. The landslides occurred on Sunday evening and Monday morning after heavy rains in a remote mountainous area of Gofa zone. The local authority said the search for survivors was continuing vigorously, adding that the death toll could increase. And in sports, Nigeria's senior female national team, the Tigers, on Monday arrived in Lille, France for the last preparatory game against Japan ahead of the Paris Olympic Games that begin Friday. The team, which has been preparing and training in Germany under coach Rina Wakama, also played 2 test games against Germany and Serbia, losing both matches. On Wednesday, the Tigers would go out for another test game, this time against the Japan female national basketball team by 8 p.m. in Lille, France. And that brings us to the end of the news update on Trust Television at this hour. Do not forget, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thanks for watching. Join us again.